Welcome back to the session on class Reptilia. It is the Animal Diversity Coordinator Part 1 paper and the last module, class Reptilia. And this presentation is upon the classification of the class down to orders. Class Reptilia includes the first group of vertebrates that got fully adapted for a life on dry land. Okay, that is terrestrial mode of life. And the classification, according to Bogart, includes or divides class Reptilia into these many groups of five major subclasses. Subclass Anapsida, subclass Synapsida, subclass Euryapsida, subclass Parapsida, and subclass Diopsida. You can see here that apsida is a term which is recurring in all the names of the subclasses, and apsida here refer to temporal fossa. It is a cavity in the skull of reptilia. Okay, and the first term, the suffix of the particular term, it represents the nature and the number of temporal fossa in the skull of the reptilia. So Anapsida, it is actually includes those reptiles which doesn't have any temporal fossa in their skull. While Synapsida, it is only having only one pair, one on each side. Likewise, Diopsida, it refers to those groups which do have two temporal fossae on either side. Okay, so two on either side, two pairs are present, right? So it is depending upon the number and nature of the temporal fossa, that is the openings, on the basis of the presence or absence and number of temporal fossae present on the posterolateral or temporal region of the skull. Okay, so we can see over here. The first one here, it is the Anapsida. Okay, and this is considered to be the most primitive group. Okay, or it includes those organisms which is believed to have given origin to all other reptiles, and hence it is otherwise referred as stem reptile. Okay, so Anapsid, the term says without temporal foci, anapsid. Okay, anapsida. Now you can see these are the bones which makes up the skull. Okay, so this is the orbit where the eyeball is placed, and the orbit, it is surrounded or it is bounded by supraorbital on the dorsal, like towards posterior side on the dorsal side. Then you can see this is the preorbital. This one is the lacrimal, and this is the jugal, and the one posterior to the orbital, it is a postorbital. So you have the postorbital, supraorbital, the preorbital, the lacrimal, and the jugal, which bounds the orbit. These are the bones in the skull which surrounds the orbit. Okay, now where is the temporal fossa actually located? At the posterior to the postorbital, you will find the temporal fossa. Here you can see it is a shaded oval shaped part. This is the temporal fossa. Okay, but here in the case of anapsids, it is totally absent. Right, so hence it is known as anapsida. Now, Anapsida, it includes the primitive reptiles with a solid skull roof. They don't have any temporal fossa in the skull, or temporal vacuity in the skull. Here you can see that the quadrate bone is connected to the otic bones. The otic bones means those bones which support the auditory capsule. Okay. And limbs are generally strong, and body is enclosed in the dorsal carapace and ventral plastron. Now it includes two orders. Okay, order Cotylosaura and order Chelonia. Cotylosaura includes extinct representatives, while order Chelonia includes the turtles, tortoises, and terrapins. Okay, so this is the only order which under Anapsida which do have the living representatives or extinct forms. Okay, while order Cotylosaura, they are extinct forms. Okay, now the next one we have is the three groups: the Euryapsida, Parapsida, and Synapsida. They include the what you call the extinct forms. All the three includes the extinct forms. Okay, we don't have any living forms under these three groups. Euryapsida. Here you can see the skull do possess only a single temporal opening, and it is bounded by postorbital, squamosal, and the parietal bone on the dorsal side. So these three bones, they bound the temporal fossa, right, in the case of Euryapsida. And in the case of Synapsida, what happens? Again, there is only one, but it is shifted towards the lower side or towards the ventral side. And you can see it is bounded by squamosal, postorbital, and the jugal bone on the lower side. Okay, so instead of the parietal squamosal postorbital bone surrounding the temporal fossa in the case of Euryapsida, here in the Synapsida, it is being surrounded by squamosal, postorbital, and the jugal bone. Okay, so that is a Synapsida and Euryapsida. Now, what about the Parapsida? Parapsida, there is slightly more difference here. What happens is the position of the what you call the temporal fossa, it is almost similar to the Euryapsida. But what happened is, instead of postorbital squamosal bone, there is another set of bones which had come to being in the case of Parapsida. Here you can see that just below the what you call the temporal fossa, you can find postfrontal and supratemporal. The postfrontal and supratemporal is placed dorsal to the postorbital and squamosal bones. And these two bones, obviously, it is not found in any other groups, right? So here you can see the what you call the temporal fossa. It is being surrounded or bounded by the parietal bone, the postfrontal bone, and the supratemporal bone. Okay, so that is with the case of the Parapsida. Parapsida also includes extinct forms, and they have a skull with a single pair of temporal fossa, one on either side, and each temporal fossa is bounded by postfrontal and supratemporal below, while parietal above. Okay, as said, it includes all the extinct forms, and these parapsids, they lived from Mesozoic to Cretaceous era. Now, the examples include Ichthyosaurus, Plagiosaurus, etc. Uh, and Euryapsida, the skull bears only a single pair of temporal fossa, one on either dorsolateral side, and they are bounded below by postorbital and squamosal bones, while above by the parietal bone. Okay, so these are the extinct forms: Euryapsida, Synapsida, and the Parapsida. Now, Synapsida, it is the skull is skull bears a pair of temporal fossa, one on either side, each bounded by the postorbital and squamosal above and by the jugal below. Okay, and here teeth usually heterodont, and pectoral girdle has a coracoid and precoracoid bones. Includes all the extinct forms that lived from Carboniferous to Permian period. And a few examples include Cyanoanathus and Dimetrodon. Okay, so again, the synapsids are also extinct. Now, the next group where we can find the extant reptiles or living reptiles, it is the Diapsida. Okay, Anapsida include the chelonia, that is the turtles, which actually are the living, what you call, representatives of anapsids. And coming back to Diapsida, the name suggests Diapsida. Okay, so here they have two temporal fossae. Now here it includes the supratemporal fossa and infratemporal fossa. The supratemporal fossa is dorsally placed, and infratemporal fossa, it is towards the ventral side. And you can see that in between these two fossae, there is a bony plate which is formed by the squamosal and postorbital bone. Okay, supratemporal fossa, it is bounded by squamosal, postorbital, and the parietal bone above, while the infratemporal fossa, it is bounded by squamosal and postorbital above and the jugal on the bottom. Okay, so these two fossae, you can see it is separated by a bony plate from postorbital and squamosal bones. So, due to the presence of these two temporal fossa, the name has come Diapsida. Okay, so two temporal fossae on each side of the skull, separated by a bar of postorbital and squamosal bones. I hope it is clear. Okay. Now here you can see the Diapsida, it includes many superorders, then infraclasses, superorders and orders. And the three major groups of orders which are living, or which include the living representatives, are order Squamata, order Rhynchocephalia, and order Crocodilia. Okay, so we'll see. Another thing which you can see over here, it is marked that synapsids are considered to be mammalian stock and diapsids are considered to be the bird stock. That is, it is from the synapsids the mammals have evolved, while it is from the diapsids the birds have evolved. Okay, now another thing which you have to note is regarding the stem reptile usage. Okay, anapsids are considered to be the stem reptiles. Actually, the cotylosaurians are considered to be the stem reptiles because it is believed to have believed to be the ancestor for all the reptiles which evolved later. Okay. Now, here you can see this is a very simple classification which had been widely accepted. And here you can see the class Reptilia. It is divided into six uh, subclasses. Okay, the Anapsida, Synaptosauria, Ichthyopterygia, Lepidosauria, Archosauria, and Synapsida. Okay, and you can see each of these subclasses are further divided into many orders, and all these starred names it represents the extinct forms, and only you can see Chelonia, Rhynchocephalia, Squamata, and the Crocodilia are the four orders which includes the living representatives of class Reptilia. All other orders include the extinct ones. Now, if we speak about the characters of these subclasses, the subclass Anapsida, as we have already seen, they include both extinct and living reptiles, and here the temporal fossa are absent. The temporal region has a complete bony roof, and it is divided into two orders, the Cotylosauria and Chelonia. Okay, Mesozoria has been extinct very early. Cotylosauria forms the stem reptiles, and it includes the extinct forms, for example, Captorinus, Diadectus, etc. Chelonia, it is otherwise known as Testudinata, includes living reptiles, that is turtles, tortoises, and terrapins. Now, the subclass Synaptosauria, it includes extinct aquatic and terrestrial reptiles. You can see over here the Synaptosauria, and only the supratemporal fossa are present. Divided into two orders, you can see the orders Protozauria, Sauropterygia, and Placodontia. Okay, it includes the examples Placodus, Cymodus, Plesiosaurus, and Elasmosaurus. Okay, these are the few examples under Synaptosauria. Now, Ichthyopterygia, as the name suggests, it is completely aquatic. Okay, I hope you know that it is something related with the aquatic life, isn't it? So Ichthyopterygia, they are wholly extinct aquatic reptiles. Only supratemporal fossa are present, just like the Synaptosauria, and it includes you can see Ichthyosauridae. And example under them, it is Ichthyosaurus from it is a marine form, while a freshwater form, the Mesosaurus, is another example. Then we have the Lepidosauria. Lepidosauria is almost similar to Diopsida because they include both the extinct and the living reptiles, and these reptiles do have two temporal fossae. Okay, supratemporal and infratemporal. So it can be considered as synonymous to Diopsida. Now it includes, you can see there are three orders, the Eusuchia, Rhynchocephalia, and Squamata. The Eusuchians are extinct forms, while Rhynchocephalia and Squamata are the living ones. Rhynchocephalia is considered to be living fossils because it has not undergone any kind of changes during their evolution till today. Okay, and hence it shows a what you call highly primitive characters. Okay, and there is only one living genus, a single living genus, namely Sphenodon, which are found in New Zealand. Okay, and Squamata, you can see it includes Lacertilia, that is lizards, and Ophidia, that is the snakes. Now, Archosauria, it is also known as ruling reptiles and are extinct diapsidians with supratemporal and infratemporal fossae, and most of them are bipeds, that is, they can walk on two legs. Okay, and some others are flying, and they are divided into these many orders. Okay, among which only the Crocodilia are living, and you can see the Thegodontia, Saurischia, Ornithischia, Pterosauria, all these are extinct forms. Okay, and these include the Thegodontia, include carnivorous forms like Euparkeria and aquatic forms of Phytosaurus. So these are actually something related with the dinosaurs. Okay.